Day 20, halfway through the journey. It reminds me of how long I was in Hawaii, because it seems like I've been talking to you for quite a while now, and we're only halfway. I hope you're still with me. Today's a hard one. Today's a good hard. Today I talk about mental illness. There's a wonderful website, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, NAMI, N-A-M-I. Look it up. Utilize that website. The statistics from 2020 are posted. There's lots of accurate statistics gathered from the United States and the world. There's also resources for those of you going through mental illness, and there's resources for those of you helping someone through. And there's brutal truth and some answers and some solutions and some hope. Here's what NAMI said for mental illness in 2020. 1 in 5 adults suffer of some kind of mental illness annually. 1 in 20 adults suffer serious mental illness annually. 1 in 6 to 17-year-old children suffer mental illness annually. 50% of all mental illness shows first symptoms by the age of 14. 75% of all mental illness shows symptoms by the age of 24. Suicide is the second leading cause of death of people the age 10 to 34. Age 10 to 34. Second leading cause of death in the United States in 2020. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States overall. The average delay of first symptom of mental illness and treatment is 11 years. So when someone begins to have symptoms of mental illness, the average amount of time that lapses before they get any treatment is 11 years. Imagine that for cancer or for anything. 1 in 8 visits to the ER in 2020 were mental illness. Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. 78% of all suicides are male. I wanted to talk mental illness because I could post on CaringBridge and had hundreds of you responding and following and supporting. But when there's mental illness in a family, there's no CaringBridge. There's no support saying the roller coaster and please pray. But I do have some encouragement for you for that. I want to speak about mental illness because the statistics of 2020 say it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So to just kind of put it in my perspective, and I'm not a professional in the mental health field. I'm not. But I've walked the valley with people, and I've suffered my own mild depressions, and I have seen people in serious crises, and I've seen the devastating results of not getting treatment. So Eric is in the ICU, and his pain is still being monitored, and it is still severe. He is still being watched, and he's not going to be out of ICU until they can just say that there's no active parasites on all of his symptoms of delusion, and things have stabilized, and that he's just going to be then in rehabilitation. So he's being cared for by wonderful, awesome ICU nurses. And a male nurse came in, and Eric was sleeping. And just as I would have done if I were in his position, I wasn't going to wake Eric to tell him that I have to turn him. Eric needed to be turned every 2 hours to prevent bed sores, to alleviate that complication, and to get his lungs moving a little for avoiding blood clots and pneumonia. Lots of reasons to turn a body that can't turn itself or won't turn itself. So this male nurse was just going to turn Eric from his back to his side, or just a quarter turn without waking him. But Eric, if he wasn't warned, like Russell warned him, and Russell was so good about saying, Eric, brace yourself, you're going to feel this. And having the startle reflex away, Eric was able to brace himself and manage the pain so much better. But this nurse came and began to turn Eric, and Eric's instinct in the pain was to haul out full force with his arm. And that nurse, that male nurse, I think was tall and strong and able to quickly fight off that smash in the face. His reflexes were quick enough, and he was strong enough and to resist getting punched in the face. And the nurse was taken aback. The nurse, you could tell he was annoyed. Who wouldn't be if someone just about hauled out and punched you for no reason, seemingly. And I know the nurse wasn't mad at Eric, but it's just not fun to get punched. And I'm sure nurses have lots of episodes and instances of those lashing out. But in his pain, that's what he did. He just lashed out. He didn't think about it first. He didn't think, well, I don't want to hurt the nurse, and I don't want to hurt anybody. He just lashed out. So I thought about that, and I thought, if I asked Eric now, did you mean to hurt that nurse when you punched him? Eric would say, I don't remember punching. I don't remember. And no, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. I was just in pain. And I thought, let's take mental illness. Let's take someone in severe throes of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever it is, addiction. And imagine them in the throes of severe pain, and something triggers that, and they lash out. And they do. If you're a mom, they lash out at mom. And I think they do. Children lash out at mom. And I know that they love us. But it's because we have unconditional love for them that they feel safe to lash out. If they're thinking, there's somebody I can vent to that won't leave me if I vent too much or get too ugly or too sad or too angry. But people with depression and anxiety and post-traumatic stress and addiction can easily lash out in pain, internal mental pain. And if it gets to be too much, they just instinctively hit and punch. Not maybe literally, but they do it with their their actions, their voice, their comments, or their inaction. They won't get up, they won't go to work, or they're just not able to do what we need them to do, and that's their lashing out. And we wouldn't say to Eric, you shouldn't hit the nurse, that's not nice, in his excruciating pain, but we sometimes do that with mental illness. If you loved me, you wouldn't be so mean, and you wouldn't do those things. If you loved me, Eric, you wouldn't hit the nurse. I just want to say that I said I would give some hope, and I think that the National Alliance of Mental Illness is an exceptional resource. And there's Minnesota chapters, and I'm sure that there's chapters across the country, local, so it's not just national. But they do their research, and they provide resources, and they're the help when we're off the rails for professional help. Let's change that percentage, let's change that statistic that says from the first sign of mental illness to treatment is 11 years. That would mean a 14-year-old would be 25 before they ever got help. We have to be brave to be able to talk about it. And I hope that there'll be a day when people will post on CaringBridge their own mental health struggle. The reason it's hard, I couldn't post mental health for someone else, is because it's their journey, and if they choose to not say, or they can't say, or they don't even believe they have it, that would be a violation of their privacy. So it is tricky. But I think we can talk about it. And because I was able to announce to the world that Eric needs your prayers on CaringBridge, we did reach the world. He had friends in Italy, and there were people in Germany. There were people praying all over the world. But when my own loving family member was dealing with mental health, mental illness, there wasn't an army praying, but there was one person. Hundreds and hundreds of people would post, "I'm praying for Eric, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you." And one person privately told me she was praying for my loved one with mental illness. And I'm here to say that you don't need an army. You just need one. And maybe you're the one to pray them through. And I'm grateful for the one who prayed for my own, and I'm grateful for the army that prayed Eric through. But today, when I think about suicide, and I think about if Eric was told, it's never going to get better, you're always going to feel this way, it's always going to be this much pain. As far as we know, this is as good as it gets. When would you not want to get out of it and end it? Not end life, but end pain. And I think those that haven't been able to get help or who haven't found the cure to their mental illness and are in deep throes of pain aren't ending life, they're ending pain. They're ending pain. And I also just want to say that as much advanced as there is in cancer research, people still die of cancer. And as much as we try to help everyone with mental illness, people do die of mental illness. So I don't want people to feel guilty that they couldn't save their loved one. Not everyone survives cancer, and not everyone survives mental illness. but there's help for both. And I'm just here to say, let's talk about it. Let's make it okay. Let's have it be a Caring Bridge post. I am especially praying for anyone going through mental illness. And by the statistics, there's a lot of us. Let's be kind. If we can be anything, let's be kind.